Hi gang, I just got done directing the Theater Physics Live Christmas radio show, and if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube now, and here's a link, so you should watch it. Okay, you don't have to watch the Theater Physics show, but it's funny. I think you'll like it, but you don't have to. Choice is yours. You can do what you want. It's a free country. Maybe you don't like funny things. Trust me, it's funny, and it's Christmassy, and it's an actual live play. You'll love it. Give it a shot. Okay, so doing theater in COVID-19 is not impossible, but man, is it hard. It's kind of a lot like this. Like all the time is crazy talk. I'm gonna go more into detail about how many bullets we actually had to dodge to make theater physics happen on stage. And some things got simpler, that's for sure. Usually when I design scenery for the theater, it looks like this. I often build models. Sometimes the models are on computers, but these models are just models that we've made in 1/4-inch scale, and we make them with a lot of detail. We make a lot of detail so that when we build, the details are already there and we know exactly what we're going to build, and we like elaborate sets. We make elaborate sets. So this is my set design for the Theater Physics radio show. A single piece of paper. I could even fold this in half. That's the design. Here, let me show this to you better. It's essentially just 4-foot flats and 4 door flats, 12 foot high. I didn't have to draw anything more than this piece of paper. That's all we had to do to make the theater physics set. Let's take a look at that set in a little bit more detail. Okay, so here it is. This is what the set looks like. We've got the 3 microphones up in the front, and we've got the whole proscenium, which was left over from Treasure Island, decorated, so it almost looks like its own set. It looks like this whole thing was meant to be kind of all as one. So that was how we incorporated the new design to kind of match this wood with that wood. Okay, sidebar, I am gonna try and make another video on how exactly we painted the weathered wood for this show. And so if you're interested in that, take a look here. I'll try and make a link up here. And we made 4 doors, and I'll go backstage and I'll show you those things too. But this is kind of what's really fun, is since it's a radio show, we wanted sound effects that everybody could see. See that we were actually making sound effects here with, you know, various cymbals and gongs and chimes.
Nope.
Let me just show you this because I like this thing. This was made by Benji Iniger for another radio show that we did years ago, and those are just springs down there. And if you just move this back and forth, you can actually get it to... Isn't that cool? So that's a train sound, and then we've got various auto harps. This is the out of tune one, which sounds haunted, and this one's actually in tune. And Benji has this whole table mic'd up so that we can actually have all these different sound effects. Here we got different horns. This is got a great sound to it too. This is a siren, which I can't do with one hand, but you know, hammer sounds. I really think this is fantastic. It's just a sheet of metal. And then, of course, this was something we were looking around for. We found it in our props room. Nothing makes the cha-ching sound better than an old-fashioned cash register. This is the harp, and this little box has the aruga horn, and the buzzer, and the bell. So all of these things are Foley sound effects that the audience can see actors do. So it's really kind of, it's just fun. And then the whole theater physics, man, that whole thing pivots. This is the crank arm that turns the big Vitruvian Man disc that I just showed you. Okay, so this is the brick wall. So back here is one of our doors. What we wanted to make, Phil Wells, who was our scene shop supervisor, said, wouldn't it be funny if you had the option of a brick wall showing up behind each of these doors. So we got this brick wall, which swings just like that. And now, if you're in front of the set, you got a big giant brick wall, and we can put those brick walls anywhere we want behind any of the doors for comic effect. And then each of these doors, like I said, has the big brick wall. There's the North Pole, we just painted. This is what we're looking at. So it's a pretty basic set, but it's the biggest set we could have all year long because, you know, it's like you just don't want to take too many risks because anything could get canceled at any time, and almost did. Thankfully, we're very grateful that we were able to do shows. A lot of places can't, so a lot of things lined up for us, and just very happy about that. Honestly, in so many of my theater physics shows, this is one of my favorite things. There's different brands that make spray fog. You can get a lot of fog, and it just lingers. I love it. I get so much mileage out of this all the time, because who doesn't need spray fog? It's awesome. All told, this is the first time we've ever had a box set for theater physics. Usually theater physics is just a black stage with the Vitruvian Man symbol back in the back of the theater, and that's all we do. But theater physics is usually a lot more physical than this too. We often need the full stage to do a lot of acrobatics or dance or physical theater or pantomime, circus tricks, things like that.
Come on, what's the idea? People are trying to sleep!
We did have visual bits, obviously, for this show, but for this particular show, I thought it would be fun, actually, to give an homage to the Treasure Island set that had to be taken down at the beginning of the year because that was our spring show last year and we didn't get to do it. But I wanted to sort of have the same sort of vibe as that, and plus, weathered wood can kind of look Christmassy to me. So we tried for this cool box set. Honestly, a fly just dropped from the sky and died right there on my computer just now. Oh. Yeah. That's what distracted me. Anyways, we wanted to be able to do some physical bits. So what was so hard about doing theater physics this year? Or just basically, what was hard about doing theater all semester long? Why was it like dodging bullets, you ask? Because I never saw my full cast until days before the show opened. It was crazy. That fly just took off. That fly that I thought was dead just took off. I can't even believe it. Anyways, from our very first rehearsals, when we were doing table work in one of the classrooms, we already had people who were zooming in. Here, take a look at this. Here's Danica on the screen, and we are basically trying to read through the show, and she was reading from home. Already it became a Zoom kind of production. Then, last year in Treasure Island, one of my main actors was Zay, and he was supposed to be my Long John Silver for Treasure Island. Well, Treasure Island got canceled, and we weren't able to do that show at all. Too big of a show. And so I cast him in theater physics. Well, turns out that he now had to quarantine for 2 weeks right when we started our stage rehearsals. An entire floor in one of the residence halls had to be quarantined because there was an outbreak of COVID, and it just so happens that Zay is the RA on that floor. So here he is, healthy the whole time, but he has to quarantine for 14 days. We only had like 3 weeks to rehearse at this point. Oh, and I should say, I got this really nice email from Zay saying, look, I'm quarantined for the next 14 days. If you want to take me out of the show, I would completely understand. I wasn't about to take Zay out of this show. I didn't feel like that was fair to him. That's not fair to the rest of the cast. And plus, he's a really good actor. I told him, but I want you in the show. Just hold out. We'll try and make this work out. So I didn't get to see him on stage. So look what happened is he zoomed in. Zay started zooming into rehearsals, and then we actually had a couple actors who would like take the iPad or the Surface and were walking him around to show him where he was supposed to move on stage. And he was, this is crazy, he was acting on stage from his room. This is a way to do it. It's not ideal, but it's better than no rehearsal, that's for sure. And then other people just started dropping. My assistant stage manager, who lives in Princeton, happened to go back to Princeton for the weekend, only to find out that if she were to come back, her 2 roommates were also quarantined and sick. So she now had to quarantine from Princeton, from home. So she started showing up to rehearsals from her home for about a week and a half. So now I was down an actor, I was down an assistant stage manager. And then on top of that, I had another guy named Noah.
Oh, the doorknob fell off.
It's good. And now he had to self-quarantine because his girlfriend was exposed to somebody who had COVID. And so he had to wait it out to find out what her test was going to be. She happened to be in Chicago at the moment, and so she was trying to get tested in Chicago, where the lines are even longer, so she couldn't get her results back. So that meant that Noah had to sit out even a longer time. So now I was without him. So now I'm down 2 actors, and I'm down a stage manager. On top of all this, then, I had a few people who got sick. If they started feeling symptoms with any kind of sickness, they weren't allowed to come to practice. But you can see that things are just sort of, blocks were falling all over through this whole rehearsal process. On top of this, my wife and my daughter were exposed to somebody who had COVID. So I had to social distance from my family. Just to make this play happen, I had to make sure that I was nowhere near them. So I would be sleeping on the couch through this whole process. I wasn't coming anywhere near my daughters or my wife, at which point I still maintained a social distance from my own family. Finally, it's Tech Week. My assistant stage manager, Sophie, is able to come back from Princeton, and Zay is able to be back from quarantine from this men's residence hall. So it turns out that I'm watching Zay on stage, and he's doing this really funny, thick accent.
The last 14 days, you've been in contact with someone who's been diagnosed.
And so I gave him a note. I said, Zay, I don't know why I didn't catch this before, but I'm not really able to understand your words very well. Could we back the accent off a little bit? And then it just dawned on both of us that I had never seen him on stage do this at all. The only time I'd ever seen any of this was on the iPad from 30 feet away. So, and then Zay goes, yeah, I don't even really know the blocking, but he kind of knew it because the other actors had walked him through it with the iPad. So it was all new to him because this is the first time he had even used his own real life legs to walk as an actor on the stage. This is like the future. This is crazy. Okay, so fast forward to a day before opening night for us. I had Sienna. She just found out that she was playing board games earlier in the week with somebody who may have had COVID. Now the scare was that she was going to be taken out the day before we opened. So Sienna was really sweating it, and I was sweating it. We were thinking, oh great, now Sienna can't be in the show. I was now talking to understudies to say, you know what, you might go on tomorrow night. And even they're sweating it. So they're looking over all the parts for Sienna just to make sure that they could pull this show off if we needed to have somebody on book for actual performances. But it turns out that Sienna was okay, and she was cleared to be in the show. She was given permission to be in the show because she was never really in contact with that person. But then, the night before we opened, the governor gets on the television and talks. He now created a new executive order that gatherings like theaters had to be stopped, but we had 2 days. So we were opening on a Thursday. We were supposed to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and have a performance each of those nights. And the governor said this executive order goes into effect on Friday at 11:59. No theater after that. So we were going, okay, well, we have 2 nights where we're clear. So then we just made a decision. What happens if we just try to get all 4 of our performances in on 2 nights? And by the way, we had to do this in one day because tickets were already accounted for, and now suddenly we had to change everything up. So I quick talked on the phone with the academic dean, who then talked to the vice president for Res Life, and then talked to the president of the college, and they said, okay, go for it. So all of a sudden, here we are now in a position where we have to quickly contact the people who are ticket holders and make our 4-night run a 2-night run and put all 4 shows on Thursday and Friday. So the day of opening night, I made a commercial. Whoa. Hi, everybody. Earlier this week, you might have seen me say that theater physics is still happening, and it still is. But life just got a little bit more interesting. Last night, the governor just gave new executive orders regarding COVID-19, and that means that we can't have performances on Saturday and on Sunday. And I'm telling everybody that I can possibly reach that the plans have changed, that we're trying to do all 4 shows in 2 days. It was like crazy time, but we actually managed to get houses, pretty close to full houses for all 4 shows. And so here's what shows look like. We were all at 25% capacity. This is what a 25% capacity crowd looks like. And as you can see, everybody is socially distanced. The audience members all were wearing face coverings. Our actors were all wearing face coverings, but we did it. And we got through it. We actually had all of our shows that we planned to do in the first semester. We did them. We started with Black Eyed Susan, which was in the tent, and then we did Ricky Tikki Tavi, which was our first show back here on the Sig Lee Theater stage. And then we actually were able to build sort of a set again, a bigger set, a set with doors and walls for the Theater Physics Christmas radio show, and we were able to get all 4 performances in. If you came to one of those performances, thanks so much. And if you watched it on YouTube, thank you for your support. Oh, and again, too, if you want to watch the show in its entirety, it's fun, it's funny, it's Christmassy, and it's right up here. I'll put that link up here again. So anyways, you guys, if you are a supporter of Bethany Lutheran College Theater, we really appreciate your support. We hope you hang in there with us. We hope to get back to normal. But in the meantime, this is how it's looking for us. We hope you guys have a Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And until next time, you're watching Hey Pete, It's a Creative Life. My name's Pete. If you like this content, we try to do creative stuff on this channel all the time. Hope that you will like and subscribe, and have a Merry Christmas.